Taking a deep dive into the human psyche, we often find personality traits blending in ways that toe the line between light and shade. That's precisely the realm of a dark empath, where characteristics amalgamate into a shadowy archetype, an archetype some would consider the most formidable of all. Now, let's unravel this complex tapestry together, ensuring we understand the nuance defining dark empaths and distinguishing them starkly from narcissists. Hello viewers, and welcome back to the Alienated Dads Network. It's me, your host, Jason Appleyard, otherwise known by some with a mixture of affection and intrigue as the Apple What's-It with a super big face. It's a real treat to be here with you today and reconnect with you as we venture further down the path of self-development. Today's exploration is yet another chapter of what we might boldly call our Illuminated series. Previously, we've untangled the dense thicket surrounding narcissism, psychopathy, and sociopathy. But here stands a new challenge: the concept of dark empathy. This term, dark empath, enters rarely into the lexicon. Its relative freshness adding to the allure. Unlike narcissism, a term increasingly diluted through common misuse, dark empathy demands a more deliberate consideration. For these reasons, distinguishing between a dark empath and your garden variety narcissist is vital. Rest assured, don't worry, it's fine. I've got your back, even with my fat face. As ever, I'm here to equip you with the radar to detect if dark empath could be more than just a term and possibly a part of your or someone else's lunar landscape. Hang with us and find out. And if the term dark empath side by side with such an unsettling adjective piques your interest or causes discomfort, you're not alone. Today could mark the inaugural journey into its essence. Admitting it carries a hint of sorrow, but it's true. Empathy isn't immune to the shadow of the darkness. On darker days, it twists into something quite unlike its usual self. Picture this: a dark empath, brilliant at seeming affectionate and caring, but tainted by undercurrents of manipulation. That's what empathy's dark side. Dark empaths mould those warm feelings into tools for ulterior motives. Recognizing this complexity shines a light on the fine line between dark empaths and narcissism. Surely you've noticed how narcissists seem able to overlook others' emotions completely. The dark empath has a different tactic. They slip into the essence of those emotions and perceive them with an almost unnerving accuracy. Not to sympathize, but to gain supremacy, influence, and control. And here's where we find these two desperate paths. Dark empathy and narcissism converge. Narcissists, engulfed in their self-righteous ego, bask in their urgency to be perceived as superior. Dark empaths, they navigate the emotional spectrum with strategy, utilizing cognitive empathy, not to connect but to coerce, trading emotional renaissance with power plays. If you're pondering over this curious blend, no. Narcissism is not just a flavour of dark empathy. Imagine it is one of the base ingredients, mixed in with strains of psychopath and Machiavellian cocktails. Together, they form a potent concoction we now understand as being part of the dark empath's profile. Now, let your mind wander into a theoretical crossroads, where narcissists and dark empaths converge. What might that interaction spark? It's like pitting a force of nature against an immovable object. A familiar dance of dominance, potentially explosive, but yet still so compelling. Empathy is typically seen as a virtue, steeped in compassion and understanding. Yet there's a seldom discussed twist to it. The dark empath, unlike a full-blown narcissist who might dismiss or underplay the feelings of others, dark empaths deftly perceive and, may I dare say, understand these feelings fully. Here's the kicker though. Not to help, they don't do it to help, they do it to manipulate. When you think of a dark empathy, it's akin to someone wearing a garland of heartfelt gestures woven together by threads of ulterior motive. This ability to dance in tune with another's emotional state can be compelling and, at times, overpowering. I think, for me, it's fascinating. Take narcissism, marked by a swollen sense of self-importance, basking in the light of adoration they conjure up for themselves. Now, you've got a dark empath swaggering onto the scene. Dark empathy wields cognitive understanding like a finely sharpened tool to blend and sway their audience with a seemingly benign grace. Yet they're cut from the same cloth of wanting control. And here comes the essential question, I suppose. It's the inevitable next question. Is narcissism a shade of dark empathy, or are we dealing with a separate beast altogether? While the threads intertwine, narcissism is an innate trait, while dark empathy is the embodiment of underlying characteristics, the trinity of narcissism along with psychopathy and Machiavellianism. As soil blends seamlessly into the soil, it might complicate things when we encounter both a narcissist and a dark empath. If these two cross paths, or even forge a connection, what ensues could be mind-bending power play. The immovable object meets the unstoppable force. Imagine that. Imagine that. Let's imagine throwing a narcissist and a dark empath into the same ring. We're looking at two titans clashing with a thirst for dominance. How would they possibly coexist when both sides are playing for the crown? That's going to be a fight to wonder. Really big fight. It's an intriguing power play for sure. Dark empaths can pick up on emotions like a tuned radar. They're ace at reading the room. This capacity means that they can sniff out a narcissist a mile away, sometimes engaging with them not to spite their narcissism, but because of it. Think of it as a chessboard in the dog-eat-dog world of manipulation, where every move is measured by self-gain and charm. It's a plastic world we live in. Plastic world. If we're talking leadership battles, the narcissist typically comes off as more ruthless in muscling things in their way. There's a void where empathy should be, and in its place is unyielding arrogance. They will bulldoze their path to supremacy with little regard for sideswipe damages. It's just in their nature. That's how they do it. But don't underestimate the resolution of a dark empath. They're astute. In fact, very astute players at the same game. Their emotional intelligence often steers them craftier, quieter courses off the same end. Moreover, if a prick of guilt from their conscience appears, they might backtrack, but keep your eyes peeled. It's likely for a strategic retreat while they're recollaborating for their next move. That goes without saying, actually. If this journey into the human mind is capturing your interest, then flick that subscribe button and hasten on the path with us here at Alienated Dads Network. Your support helps us carve out more of those thought-provoking topics. Now, deceit, and boy, is it dressed to impress with both personalities. Narcissists and dark empaths occupy thrones built on lies so convincing that fiction could mistake it for its grandmother. Whether it's a narcissist fabricating accolades they've never achieved, or a dark empath constructing narratives weary of dishonest compassion, deception is their art and manipulation is their exhibit. Often, the beacon that draws victims into the web of charm is the charm. These individuals wield it masterfully as both sword and shield. Their confidence blazes a trail that leaves behind scorched victims swept up with the charismatic allure, unaware that they're chess pieces in the grander scheme of things. Little do they know. And do remember this, do yourself a favour. In an oddly twisted dance, a narcissist craving recognition may find their needs met by a dark empath's cunningly calculated admiration. In such a partnership, one desires adoration while the other possesses insight and through compassion to simulate on demand, basically. Playing into the would-be thriller when charmer meets charlatan. Get it? Well, tackling this intricate ballet between narcissists and dark empaths, we see a theoretical sort of toxicity emerge, one that ultimately erodes the veneer of connection. It becomes a rapid descent the moment they recognize their adversaries in one manipulative game, the fabric of their dynamic phrase. That's when you glimpse the intrinsic cataclysm where neither player has left anything to gain. Now here's a key insight. Dark empaths can insist that they're wholly vested in a relationship's success. In contrast to a narcissist, somewhat more obvious self-centered stance, a dark empath can play the long game under the guise of connection. However, let's not be misled. Their keen intelligence isn't at your service. It serves their end game. Masterful in negotiation, deftly adorned with self-reflection, a dark empath is the maestro of an orchestra sincerity. But it's worth digging in. What if the image in the mirror is gazing back at you? We all want to be the hero of the story, not the sinister turn. Have you noticed yourself objectively? Do you forge bonds with companionship, but to influence over maneuver? Could there be cracks in your reactions to disapproval or criticisms that aren't about growth but perceived slights? I wonder.